Hi guys, it's Tracy from Tracy's Creative Place here again. I thought I'd pop in and show you the latest card I have made, and this has been made for the Into Crafts design team and shop. And I've been using these new woodware stamps. If you check on the blog, on my blog, go to Into Crafts and you'll find a link for all the cards that I've made. These new woodware stamps are brilliant. I've made several different cards using the flowers differently. They're also on the YouTube channel just below this. If you Google it again, you'll find it. This is the set I'm using today. I'm just using the lighthouse for today and some of the sentiments, but that's the set I'm using. We'll look at it again in a minute. Seashells, and there's a fabulous nautical collage. I've used those on previous cards too, so check them out. Right, so this is the one we're using today. You can see it there. That stamp is that one there. Okay, so today what I want to show you is everything, this backing, which looks like a wooden pallet, the porthole kind of effect, they're all made using inks, even the clouds on here. So I wanted to really show you how to do those three things, and then putting this card together really is pretty much simple after that. But I'll go through it all. We'll do it bit by bit, and you can see how it works. So I'll just move this now. Just here, I've got a skylight above me, and it always puts a massive reflection there. It drives me insane, but you'll have to bear with. So okay, stamp set here. Really like it. I'm going to try and do something really ingenious with this message in a bottle for the next video, but for now this is the one we're using, and it's called Message in a Bottle, strangely enough. So I'll pop that to one side and I'll go through the items that we're going to need. Okay, so this is going to make a 7x7 card. That's what size mine is anyhow. You can make it as big as you like. It doesn't have to be this size, but if you are making this size, these are the measurements that you need. You need a piece of white card, which is 15 centimeters by 15. Okay, you'll need a piece of craft card, or any card really. This one actually doesn't really make any difference, because the panels, once we've done them, are going to sit on top of that. It's just to give it some, you know, some thickness. Okay, so we need one white, one in craft, say. Okay, then we need a black 16 by 16. Ignore all this because you're not going to see it. And then we'll need the last one, which is 17 by 17. Okay, so we'll leave all those to one side, and we will start work on the porthole part of it first, because we really do need that to dry before we do anything. So all I've done is tape together two of my Spellbinders circles, just so I can make a frame. And I've cut it out of craft card. Not particularly straight, that one, but that's what you do. And what I did was I cut it out 4 times, okay? And I glued them together, so we've got some depth on it. Now, you can cut it out of chipboard, but even with the Gemini, I could not get this to go through the thickness of chipboard that I have. It was really quite thick because I used the chipboard for making albums. So I've cut it out 4 times and glued them together. And then using a crocodile and some basic gold brads, cheap gold brads I have to add, because you're going to cover them. I've gone around it in a circle with the crocodile, and I've added the brads. Now it's not absolutely like there's a gap there between there and there. It doesn't matter, you know. It's a bit of, it's not a real porthole, so, and I've left quite a large gap there, and it's all right because I'll just put my shells on that when I'm gluing the card together. So you can always cover it, you know. It doesn't matter. It's a bit of card. Okay, so I'm going to pick up my mat for saving all the ink and not wrecking my glass one, and I'm going to put a piece of paper down. Now I'm using heavy gesso. Okay, any gesso's fine, the cheap one's fine. It just so happens I have this one, and I'm using a sponge because I don't like washing paintbrushes out. Okay, so all I'm going to do really is dab across this thing and just make sure that I've covered every part of it. You can dry this with a heat gun, but you know, it doesn't really normally take very long to dry. I'm just trying not to get it on my fingers. Just cover it up as best you can all the way around. You can always go back in if you've missed a bit. Don't forget to do the insides as well. There's no science to it, just do it. Blob it on. I did the last one, I did it with that first. I put the brads on last, and to be honest, it wrinkled it, because it's not made of chipboard. You know, it wasn't as robust as it could have been. So I thought I'd put the brads on first and see how we get on this time. I don't mind that some of the gold of the brad comes through. If you do mind, then once it's dry with the first coat, go in with the second one. Totally up to you. I'm just desperately trying not to get it on my hands, or I'll get it all over the card while I'm making it. So dab it on, and like I said, it doesn't have to be dead neat. It can be as messy as you wish. I'm just taking a little out the lid just to sort of squelch it in the bits. There we are. Okay. There we are. Now, once you've got that on, I'll leave the gesso there. Now, I found this other thing in my drawer. You know, really, I didn't even know I had it, so I thought I'd have a go. Sorry, it's upside down. It's Viva Decor Rusty Paper. And I think I got it from Anna Marie Crafts, but I'm sure if you go on the internet, you'll find it. And it's just kind of thick, kind of brown gloopy stuff. I imagine if you had an acrylic paint that colour, it would do exactly the same. And all I'm doing really is just adding little bits of it here and there. And if you find, oh, I'll put too much on, I don't like it, just take this sponge and go over it and take some of it off. And as much as or as little as you put on, it's totally up to you. Okay, we're looking okay there. Looks a little bit like rust. And when it dries, believe it or not, it really does look like metal. It's pretty cool. There's just doing that. I mean, if you want to go totally over the top, you can use all your others and put a bit of verdigris on it with your green paints or your blue chalk paints or any of those. You know, but for me, that's enough. That's fine. So, put that to one side to dry, and we will work on the rest of the card. But what I will say to you, if you want to put something in the corner, see these little brads, this is what the brads were on top of there. Just get this, what's left, on your sponge and dab them over the top. You can even put a bit of the brown on if you wish. And then they will be drying also while your porthole's drying. So I'm just going to move that to one side now. And leave it to dry, and then it'll be ready for when we need it on top of the project. Okay. Now, I'll just wipe my fingers. Excuse me. Has anybody else managed to get as messy as me with a bit of sponge? Really? I just don't want to get it all over the card as we go. So, right. Now we come to this circle that we made in the first place. Which, whatever size you use, the small one, cut yourself a white one, because then the image is going to sit inside that porthole really well. So I've done that, and to save time, I have stamped out the lighthouse. And now we're going to do the clouds. Okay, so my favourite cloud colour is Stormy Sky, always has been. And I have this thing which you'll see is very, very, very well worn. And on it, it says Bev Rochester. Now, this is for forming your clouds. If you put Bev Rochester in your search engine, you'll come up with Bev's blog site. She is amazing. She's got some fantastic projects on there. But she also gives this template for you to print out and use. So get yourself on there. Or if you'd a dab hand with, a pencil, make yourself some clouds and do it yourself. But I'm not very good at art, so I'm using Bev's fab templates. And as you can see, I've used it for lots and lots of projects. Okay, I'm just loading up my sponge, and then all you do is gently go over the top of the template, and as you do it, you move it around. Okay, move it over. You can even turn it over to give a different look. If you want your sky to be a little more summery, okay, use a lighter ink, tumble glass or something of that, you know, that kind of thing, and you just basically move it from side to side, going round each time, round and round it. Some people like to do it by doing that. Just give you, if you do that as well, you'll get yourself some whiter clouds on top of each other, you know. Just be gentle, don't go too heavy-handed or the sky looks a little too dark. Yeah, and we're not going to be too precious and put some land in here. You can, as I said, you can turn it over to give yourself some different cloud formation. We're not going to be too precious. I am literally just going to go as far down as it goes to there, and then using what's left on the sponge, I'm just going to go across at the bottom, maybe around a little at the sides just to darken the sides up. And basically, there's your cloud formation. There. Okay. So again, that can go to one side to dry. And we can work now on the actual palette boards. So the 15 by 15 white piece. Now you've got two options here. For those of you who have the Altenew wood grain stamp, background stamp, great, we can stamp it on there, we're ready to go. Okay, for those of you who don't, it doesn't matter, you can still do this. Okay, so what I want you to do is either A, stamp it all out so that the whole thing is covered in wood grain, or cut it into 2.5 centimetre panels as a white piece. But either way, we want them cut out. So if you've stamped it out, then cut it into 2 centimetre panels with it stamped. If you haven't, just cut it into panels anyway. And I'm going to show you both ways now. That's what it looks like with the stamp. That's what it looks like without it. So, as I said, I'm no artist. Get yourself a brown fine liner or black, either or, doesn't matter. And just draw some random lines. You can even do yourself, oh, look at me, being all jazzy and doing a knot. Do a knot. And you just want random lines. It can be long lines, short lines, it's up to you. But as long as you've got some random lines on there, this will look like a palette. Okay? So there's the one that's stamped, there's the one that isn't. And it really doesn't matter. But you do that on every single panel for the whole of the 15 centimetre. Cut that down, 2.5 centimetre panels, and this is what you'll get. Now, we've now got distress inks to work with. We've got vintage photo and gathered twigs. Okay, so first things first, get me a little splodge mat so I don't dirty everything up. So first one we're going to use is the vintage photo, and there is real no science to this. Okay, just load it up and just colour the whole thing. Okay, colour the whole thing all the way down. You don't have to blend it really, just it doesn't matter if you get lines in this one, it's really good. Okay, just colour it down. And I'll colour this one that I've drawn on at the same time, and then you'll be able to see that really it doesn't matter whether you've drawn it or you've stamped it. Okay, all the way down to the bottom, and I want you to do that on every single piece. Okay, and then take your gathered twigs, darker ink, load up your applicator. Now take a pair of scissors and chop your boards in half. Just remember where they come from. You know, anywhere, chop them anywhere, it doesn't matter. Okay. Every single one of them. Now what I did, so I didn't get confused, because it doesn't take much to confuse me, is, as I'd done each one, I glued it down, so I'll show you. So just the boards, you want to just dirty them up around the sides. Okay. Around the edges that you've cut and around all the sides like that. Alright, see. Take that off, do the other one. Now this one is the one that I drew. And as you can see, the more ink you put on, it really kind of doesn't matter. So for everybody who bought the beautiful Sizzix Big Die of the palettes, you could have done this anyway and saved yourself a few quid. So you're going to end up with that. Okay. On some of them, this is rusty hinge. I've even added a bit of rusty hinge, what was left on the applicator, to it, just to give it a slightly different colour. It matters not. And this is the one that was stamped. I'm going to do the same thing with it. All the way around, making sure the ends really are done. So when you put them together, they look like different planks. There we are. Okay. So on this 15 by 15 piece of craft card I was talking about, what I've done is that. All I've done is put these that I've already cut, already inked up, and I've lined them up. And as you can see, I've sort of alternated where the cuts were. That's it really. I'm going to just put a little bit more darker on this one, either end, and then all you do is take your Cosmic Shimmer and you glue it on. Okay. I think I'll put that down the bottom. And then this one, glue it on there. There we are. And each board is slightly different in hue, a different colour, different, you know, because, well, palettes are like that, aren't they? If you think you haven't got it dark enough, just go around the edge. I'm happy with that. I don't mind that. That one is the one that I drew, and all the rest are the ones that are stamped. Doesn't matter. Okay, so I'm just going to remove all these inks and everything else of the way. And we can start actually to put the card together to a certain point. So start off with the very base card of craft, 17 by 17, and put that down. And then put your 16/16 black down separately. I want this one to sit on top of there. Okay, like that. That in the end is going to go on there, but I want to put the brads on before I attach it. So we've got that, we've got this. Right. Okay. So take the 4 brads for the corners if you decide to use them. If you don't, it's up to you. You can get some really nice hardware from Tim Holtz, these little screws, and I used that on the original one, but I've run out of them, so this is just something that, you know, that's been adapted and is slightly different on this card. So use your crocodile and put a hole in the corner, and then pop your brad through. And sometimes you may have to cut off some of the brad leg if it's sticking out. Okay, this time it's not too bad. Just kind of eye it. You know, if you want to be really pedantic, then you can measure it. Okay, see, if you can manage to get the brad legs to sit right, then that's great. You don't have to cut them off. So you kind of pop the next one in. I think just the using the gesso on top of these brads is really cool. It does actually make it look a lot like metal. There we are. See, you can see. And then the last one is going to go in there. As you can tell with me, nothing's measured. I quite like the randomness of the way this looks. Okay, so now we've got that. It's up to you which way you put it on. You can put your palettes one way or the other way, totally up to you. Okay, so now you can either foam pad it on or glue it on. And I think I'm going to glue it on. But as it's brads, I'm going to need something a little more substantial to hold it down. So I'm just going to put a bit of hot glue on for now. Take your time, guys. This is just me being quick. I'm going to put the palettes on like that. Okay, there we are. So we've got the base for the card now. We're almost there. Now, I'm using some Hessian. Obviously, it's a mail card. I could have either ripped this off and saved it for another day, or you can just leave it on, up to you. I think I'll rip it off. I'm not going to be able to save it, but I'm going to put a piece of Hessian across there, just to add a little something interesting to the background. Okay, so this lace Hessian thing I bought in the works, and it was really, really cheap. So, but it does the trick. And just pop a piece on through the middle there. And then I like the fact that you can fray the edges on it once it's down, you know, make it look a bit shabby. So there we are. Okay, now we come to this part. This needs to go on around about there in the middle. So I'm just going to pop a bit of glue through the middle of it, so to attach it to that Hessian, because we're going to put the porthole on top of it anyway. So it's there, it's on, it's not going anywhere. By now the porthole should be dry. If it's not, give it a blast over with the heat gun just to dry it. And I've got it all over my hands, again off of the sheet. So I'm going to find that little area that I left too big a gap that I didn't particularly like. And I'm going to put that to the side where the shells are going to go. Okay, so to start with, I'm just going to put a blob of glue on one side. And I'm going to kind of put it where I want it to go, and then wipe off the excess glue that I've got there. And then slowly but surely you can work it around with the glue and glue it down, or you can add foam pads. I think I foam padded the last one, but just to be different this time, I'm gonna add some glue with the glue gun and glue it on, and it will stay. Once you get your glue gun moving. There we are. There we go. Glue it down. There we are. Okay, so it's on. Right, now I went into the works to look for this Hessian, and while I was in there I found a big bag of shells, and they were £1. I've done 3 different things with them, and that's what's left. I chose some of the really nice ones for the original card, but this beige one, I didn't like it beige, so I thought, I wonder if you can change the colour, and you can with the same ink, with your distress inks, your oxides, whatever you've got. Okay, you can change the colour, who knew? So I'm going to glue that one in the corner. Just about there. Okay, and then you can add a little bit when you've got it in position. And then it's up to you where you put the rest of them. And just glue them on around and about. Making sure you glue each one to each one, otherwise they will fall off. And you just kind of go along and fill in the space with the shells until you've got what you like, anything that you like. You can also at this point add some twine, some rope, anything really, just to add a little bit of interest to it. So we've got a couple more, and I think I'm going to group them one on top of there. That's kind of cute. And do I put that one there? Only thing is now we've glued all this dimension on, we are going to have to make a box for it to go in. Okay, so I just put a bit of glue underneath that to catch that, and there we are. There we go. So there we are. Now it needs a little bit of something else. Just get rid of these glue strands. It needs a bit of something else, I think, just to finish it off. So I have a With Love on Your Birthday. It's not from this set. It's just a birthday set. So I've put foam pad on one side, and I'm going to pop a little bit of hot glue on here so it will actually sit against the frame nicely. There we are. And I've got Witches from this set, By the Sea. That's just got a foam pad on it. It's just going to stand up a little proud on there to add interest to that corner. Straight would be good, but okay, so then I cut out, I did on the original use Hessian. I've kind of run out of it, so all I've done is cut out 3 triangles by hand. I've not used a punch or anything, and these are going to sit in the corners, in this corner rather. I've cut 1 large one, 2 smaller ones, and I've foam padded the back of them. There's a bit of bunting on one side. There we are. And then I had a bit of string, which I coloured with Distress ink, as you can see, just to make it look like a bit old and stringy, rope-like. And I'm just going to glue the knot. I've tied a knot in the corner of each one. I'm just going to glue the knot roughly in the place I want it to sit. Obviously, if you've got some nice thin brown ribbon or any of those things, you can do that. If you've got a nice pennant die, banner die, you can use that. There we are. So that's going to be sat there now. I'm just going to trim the end of that off. There we are. So that's going to sit there. Now, obviously, if it was for Father's Day, this card, leave off the birthday, you could put Dad on the top of there. You could leave the palettes just drawn in on a white background, and you could leave this craft. Oh, it's endless, endless. So that is the one we've just made. That is the one I made a couple of days ago. This one's been stamped in black. This one's been stamped in brown, rich cocoa memento. So you can see there is a little difference, but not much, really. And that's it. So I hope you like it. Oh, you can see the difference there. Sorry, yeah, with the Tim Holtz fixins or the Brads. I actually quite like the Brads. So there you go. I hope you enjoyed that. And check out Into Crafts. Check out my blog. And it's, if you put in Lalky Girl, Lalky Girl, all one word, Lalky Girl, then my blog will come up. And you'll be able to check out all my makes, not just these, others for different design teams that I've been on. And happy crafting. And if you do happen to make it, put it on the Into Crafts Facebook page, and then I can come along and see how you did yours. Okay, happy crafting, guys, and I'll see you soon. Bye.